And we're recording. So welcome everyone to episode 5 of Let's Talk Horses. I am your podcast talkback host. My name is Sarah Watt and I love horses basically. So I created this online talkback podcast to share with you guys what I believe horses have to offer. So I kind of time these. It's interesting. Most of the time I've just been out with my horses and today's no different. I've just been out with them for a couple of hours before coming in. And it's great because usually something pings in my world to talk to you guys about. So please also know you can submit questions. We've got a link that we'll post for you where you can sign up to receive the notifications of when these podcasts are happening, and you can also submit questions, or if there's a topic you'd like me to talk about, please post it wherever you're seeing this video and we'll find it and we'll talk about it on the next episode or one of the episodes. So it doesn't just have to be about horses. This is the cool thing, and why one of the reasons why I chose to do this was because I am an access consciousness facilitator. So I guess I dabble a lot in creating more consciousness in my life and in my world, and hopefully through that in the world around me. And a lot of my life, I've had a very, very deep fascination, let's say, with horses. And that's always been, ever since I can remember for myself, I've been that way. And then when I found this thing called Access Consciousness, I also discovered that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, also has a very, very deep love of horses. So, every day almost I pinch myself that I get to do what I do. Part of my job means I travel the world. In 2 weeks, I head to Tokyo, and then I'm off to Prague, and then I'm off to Rome, contributing to the events that Access Consciousness puts on all around the world. So even that part, I'm like, whoa, is this even true? Is this even really my life? And it's just the beginning. It's not like this is my forevermore now. It's like all the time my life increases, and most of that I have to thank Access Consciousness for. And then to put like the thickest, most delicious icing on already the best cake in the world, I also get to take all of those tools from Access Consciousness and facilitate these classes called Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider. So a lot of people hear that name and they don't really know. It kind of puts them in a bit of a spin. What are these classes about? What if I don't ride horses? Why the hell would I even bother? But what I've discovered along the way is that absolutely everything you desire to change, to have more awareness of, to learn more about, to have a greater sense of with yourself, if you're willing to, horses can show you that. And for me personally, every time I'm around a horse, whether it's one of my horses or whether it's someone else's, or just horses in general, even sometimes watching them online, I change. I get something out of it. I become a different person. I like to think I become a better, different person, a better version of myself. I come away with so much. So really, I want to share that with the world as much as possible. And this is just the beginning of a new journey in my life. And like I said, I pinch myself every day because of my job with Access, but then also the fact that I get to work with and learn more with horses along the way as well is amazing. And I might just tell one quick story before, and maybe this could more be the subject, or maybe we'll have two quick topics for this week. And I may have to get up in a minute and let my dog in. Just give me like 3 seconds because she's just going to bark at the door until I let her in. Yeah. So I'll just tell a quick story first, which my brother actually, Brendan Watt, left me a WhatsApp message today. He was re-listening to a class that Gary and Dane co-facilitated in Venice. God, what would it have been? 4 or 5 years ago or something like that, called The Art of Creation. It was one of these specialty classes that they do where there's not really there's no manual, there's no format. They just get together on a topic and talk about it and facilitate and create all sorts of amazing, crazy things. And I remember one day Gary left early, or Dane was facilitating by himself, and he asked this question, if you could have anything. I don't remember the exact question, but it was something like, if you could have absolutely anything, if you could ask for anything right now, what would it be? And so Brendan laughed because he was re-listening and he's like, oh, you hear all these people yelling things out and then you put your hand up and Dane's like, yes. And you said, I want a horse in Costa Rica. And Dane kind of laughed at me almost because people are wishing and asking for like palaces and these utopian futures and for the world to be like this. And I'm like, I want a horse in Costa Rica. And literally probably you could have timed it. I would have say under 3 months after that, I purchased my first horse in Costa Rica. I now have 2 horses in Costa Rica and 2 horses here in Australia. That very much own me. I go to work and I work very hard in order to feed and support these animals, but they contribute so much to my life. And that was one of the very, 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 very big lessons, contributions that started really like seeping into my world that horses could contribute to us. Because there's so much that we're taught that to get something in this world, you have to work really hard, or to get somewhere. And I'm not saying that that to take away from that, but also being willing to ask for things. And when I met this horse, and I'm sure if you follow me along this journey for any period of time, you'll get to know more about my first horse in Costa Rica. His name is Pregonero. I'll post a photo of him here on the Facebook replay so you guys can see him. He's a beautiful Pinto, Costarricense de Paso, which is the native horse of Costa Rica. And since owning this horse, it's just been, during COVID, I didn't see him for over 2 years. And even now that COVID's over, I've probably seen him twice, I think. And even before that, when we were, pre-COVID times, I was still only traveling to Costa Rica maybe 3 times a year. So most people's worlds are like, wow, I pay a monthly fee, he's taken care of. And and for my birthday last year, my brother, Brendan Watt, actually gifted me a second horse there. His name is Inversor, and he is like, just a gift in so many ways. There's so much to that story, and I probably won't go any further into it right now, but except to say there's so much in that has contributed to my life. There's so much in that story just there that even though it happened 4 years ago or whatever it was, that still to this very day is still permeating into my world and into my awareness. And really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today is relaxation and patience. So, I had lunch with a good friend of mine today, and lately I've been asking for a lot more of this space of relaxation in my world. I very much my whole life have functioned on, I would say, some form of adrenaline pump, constantly, what I would say, battling my way through life a little bit. And even though I've had a phenomenal life, and I still do have a phenomenal life, there's always been an element of anxiousness in my world. And I remember it from a very young age when I would have this, the feeling in your tummy, and I guess various forms of panic attacks and stuff like that, for me, I just have always dealt with it and moved on. And I was speaking to my friend today, and she was talking about some of this. And I started looking at, well, who do we have around us, or where are we shown to actually teach ourselves to relax and have patience with things? Or how often are we so entrained to not have that, to constantly be on the move? And, if you have been shown relaxation, maybe it's more the version of avoiding things. But what if there was a way where you never had to avoid anything? You could be totally present with everything and still have such a sense of peace and calm and relaxation in your world. So when I went to ride Ollie today, he was not relaxed and he was very anxious. And we had quite an interesting ride. But what it showed me was there's going to be times where you have to be the dominant force. And even in relaxation and patience, there is a dominant energy available. Like, it's the sort of thing where if you're willing to have that space of relaxation in your world and peace and patience, that you actually have this availability to everything. And that can be calmness, it can be dominance, it can be force, it can be like whatever is required in that very moment. You know, in Access, we talk about living in 10-second increments. But for horses, I feel like it's more like they live in like 3-second increments, maybe. And just seeing Ollie, you know, he got himself quite worked up. He was bucking around the place and really just having a shit old time of it. And in my world, it was like I could have bought into what he was going through. I could have like crumbled and been like, I've done something wrong. There's something wrong here. And really, I looked at like, it's so funny how consciousness works. So I'm hoping if you're hearing this conversation, there's something here that you needed to hear right now, because I often find when you come across stuff like this as well, it's the kind of, without making it sound too metaphysical, the divine timing of the universe. You know, it's like when you need to hear it, you hear it. You get it when you get it, and you hear it when you hear it. And, you know, so many times if that ride today would have happened to me, and, you know, nothing happens to you, but if I would have been a part in creating it, which I obviously was, I mean, I was on top of this 600-700 kilo animal, I would have gone to the wrongness, and I would have panicked, and I would have gotten anxious. And it's so interesting that I'd had this conversation today with this person, and my world was so relaxed, and I didn't get angry, but there was a demand and a dominance in my world where I didn't need to dominate him, but I wasn't willing to not dominate the situation, and be like, actually, the way you're reacting here and what you're creating is not safe for either of us. So we're going to see what we can work through. And I get we made a little bit of progress, but it wasn't perfect, but I still left the situation very relaxed. In the end, he got himself very relaxed. And I wanted to have a chat about that on today's episode and just invite you guys to a place where, even if you don't have a chance to get on a horse or be in a horse and have them show you this, but just for me to invite you into my world for this, 15 minutes that we're together, and invite you to a place where if you're willing to ask for something, whether it's a horse in Costa Rica or whether it's to have more relaxation and patience in your world, that the first step is being willing to ask for something. So, what if you wrote down a few things that you'd really like to have more of? And for me, I feel like there's a real pervading energy in the world right now of people desiring more of this calmness, this peace, this happiness, like this internal sense of well-being, whatever it is for you, like whatever wording you want to use for it. And really, the lesson I got from my session with my horse today was that if you ask for it and you're willing to go there, that it's something that's really available. And when you're willing to be with it and have it, it actually creates such a strength and such an awareness. And yeah, just that really. So we didn't have any questions on today's episode, and I might just start spacing these out a little bit more. I've been doing them every few days because I get so excited about talking about this subject. But maybe between now and the next episode, I'll put some more shout outs out there. And please, if there's anything, like even if you think it's the weirdest thing, like how could a horse ever even teach me this, or whatever's up in your world right now, what if you were willing to just post that as a question wherever you're seeing this video, or you can follow the link where you found this video and fill in the online form if you'd rather do that. And what if you let me go there for you and, use my horses a little bit to facilitate some of the stuff that's going on in your world? Because I have a lot of amazing facilitators in my life, as in people that are willing to, if I ask a question, help me with things, help me change things, help me look at things in a different way. And horses for me are right up there. They're ranked at the highest level of facilitators, I think, that I have available in my life. And if you don't have access to horses, or even if you do, but you're not too sure on where to go with this, please also allow me to be that for you and maybe show you some of the world of where I'm starting to discover this place where horses can really teach us and show us so much. And they're all so very different. Like I was saying, I have 4 horses in my life and I tap into each one of them and they are just absolutely and completely different. So awesome. I think that's it for today's.
So Sarah,
yes, my love.
If you were feeling anxious and you didn't own any horses, what would you suggest? Just tapping into that world of horses and asking for that energy?
Yeah. And I mean, and even if it's not horses, like find something that almost counteracts that for you. Like I think I've heard in Access them say 1 hour a day and 1 day a week, make it completely for you. Like there's a tool in Access, 1 hour a day, 1 day a week, set aside that time for you. And I think if more of us were willing to do that, probably we would live in a world with less anxious people. Like we would have a space where we could go and create somewhere where we had that space for us. And I think a lot of people just aren't really given the tools to deal with their anxiety, that it's more this place of like, it's mine, I just need to deal with it, when probably, number one, it might not even be your anxiety. It might be something that you're perceiving in the world, because there's so many people out there that are stressing about the government and money and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So for me, I would say if you can get around horses, they are like the best calming goat ever. If you can just sit with them in a field. Like I invited my friend, and all of you guys are welcome. Anyone that lives anywhere near me, you are welcome to come to my house and use my paddock and just go and sit in the grass with my horses for an hour, because I guarantee you'll be like so much calmer after. But yeah, look at what it is for you. But when you said they'd tap into the energy of horses, do that for sure. And even if you don't know how to do that, you do. Just do it, basically. Just sit there, focus on your body, focus on your breathing, focus on being connected with your body, and then just tap into the world of horses and the space that they occupy. And I find their space and energy very similar to nature, or really any animal you can get around has this sort of similar vibration or similar energy. So yeah. Cool. Next minute I'll have like 15 people at my house like, we're here to sit in your paddock with your horses. And totally that would be fine. And they would just come over and sniff and hope that you had like an apple or a carrot or something for them. So cool. Well, thank you again. Thank you for being here with me. If you were here live, thank you for watching the replay wherever you're finding this. And please, 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 anything at all, the craziest thing, whatever's up in your world, what if you would allow horses and me to contribute to changing some of it? So thank you, everyone. See you on the next episode.